Well, I joined in the Maine Air National Guard
Okay.
in the latest of October '56. Then in '57 I went to Texas for pre-flight training as a cadet and graduated from pilot training. I flew prop jobs and training, T-34, T-28, and then to T-33 jet trainers for advanced, basic. Finished and I got my wings in 1958. Then I went to Texas Parent Air Force Base for advanced fighter interceptor training, which is F-86D.
Okay.
Fought my first Mach 1 pin.
Wow. Was that without being in a dive or?
Yeah, it was 86, up to 40,000 feet and roll her over and straight down. The F-100 was the first one that had level flight,
Yeah.
supersonic. So I was 20 years old.
Wow.
Then I went back to my Air National Guard unit in Maine, flying F-89s. Everybody goes, what's that?
Yes, I even had to Google it.
It's a Scorpion, they call it, because the tail goes up. It's twin engine. It was built for enemy bombing, in the 50s. And we did the D model. We fired rockets. You couldn't hit anything with that. Then we had the J model I flew, which had a nuclear rocket on it. It was an actual missile.
Wow.
And it fired a nuke, 1 KT. And if you could see the Russians coming, you couldn't get up with them because it was an old hog. It was the first fighter we had with afterburners on it.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You could sit there and light them both and hold the brakes. It didn't have much power in the old days.
Really, yes.
But you could snap up and shoot a missile, and you had a shield that you wore. You could pull that over your eye when the nuke went off.
So,
Yeah,
what was
yeah.
it actually like to fly? What was its handling like?
It was a big sloppy twin engine, It was quite interesting. My first flight with every jet I flew, the F-86, I had a hydraulic failure, minor one, but I landed okay. The F-89, my first flight, I had a hydraulic failure. It didn't have any brakes and that, but I landed out okay. Then from there, it had a weird system of fuel gauges and all that. It was a real old-fashioned type machine. Then I went to Albuquerque, National Guard to fly F-100s. Totally different game. My first flight in it, I lost hydraulic system again. Went off the runway because it was the brakes and the nose wheel steering. And the guy was chasing me. He says, that was a good landing. They land behind you because it's a single seat. All of a sudden, you see this dust and dirt, and it was me out in it. I'm going, I don't know.
A great story to tell.
Yeah, so but I love flying a Hun. It was really good, but it was an unusual aircraft as far as had the super swept wing. We lost a lot of people who were killed in it. Adverse yaw, if you've heard the term. That became synonymous with the F-100, and you got to a point where you're pulling too hard and slow. The controls reversed in aileron. So if you're in a hard right bank and you wanted to go back left, if you let off and use rudder, which people say you don't need rudder in jets, wrong. You pull the pole to the left to turn back and it will roll farther over and splat.
Really?
Yeah, I got some good film of that.
We might have to watch that.
And I did it in one of my briefings here. You can find it on the internet, easy.
Perfect. So could you feel a power difference coming from the F-89?
Oh yeah, the Hun, of course, was the first one you could go to a level flight, an afterburner. In fact, I flew a 56 model. That's how old they were.
You don't think
It was the third one off the production line that went into service.
Wow.
They still had it in Albuquerque.
No way.
It was all bent. Oh yeah, but still flew.
Wow. So what kind of weapons would it carry at this time?
Well, this was the A. It was just 2 missiles and guns.
Was it a capable platform, would you say?
And yeah, well, that's the SAC. You probably don't remember, but 1960 was it? I think it was. Yeah, it was an Albuquerque Guard one that shot down the B-52
Oh,
over Mount Taylor, and yeah, west of Albuquerque.
Wow.
We used to carry live weapons. We were air defense against Mexico. I don't know, but then the whole U.S. was ringed with Air Defense Command aircraft. And they had live sidewinders on them.
Yeah.
And this guy, we'd go up and tracking the engines and listen to the growl, which you get to tell you it's hearing and seeing the heat. And they're all locked on and had safety switches, and one just took off with this guy and hit the 52 and down it went. That was a big, Kurt LeMay was real happy with that. So when I got there, they'd taken them off and they'd found it was water getting into a special pylon they'd built on them. So they eventually got them back on with a special bolt going in the side of the missile so you couldn't leave the rail unless you had a thing that withdrew the bolt. Fixes in those days were a little different.
Wow, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So what was it like as a dogfighter?
Well, the A was great because once you got used to it, you could actually use this adverse yaw to get a better turn rate than you'd think it's capable of. Because once you sit there and you get it right on the edge and try to get a lead on somebody, once you had experience, instead of flipping over, you could feel that and use your rudder and just pull your nose just enough to get the gun sight on what you wanted. It was actually good. We took on, this was the Air National Guard again, but they had a big engine in it. And the D model out of Cannon were active duty guys. We'd meet them in the air, we'd whip them because the D was so much heavier.
Yes.
And we were used to air fighting, they were air to ground, so.
They had no chance.
But it was really good, yeah.
Yeah. So how long did you spend on the F-100?
That was 3 years, yeah.
You enjoyed that time?
Yeah, I really did. Yeah, it was fun to fly. I had a lot of experiences in the compressor stalls. That's when the compressor it shows I've had enough. The old fire would come out the front end. It'd knock your feet right off the rudder pedals. And bam! The first time it hit me, of course I thought I'd been shot. And it's oh no, it's just compressor. I'll get back on the throttle and unload it. Okay. But you learn those sort of things.
Sounds like a scary aircraft, I have to say.
It was. We lost it. We killed a lot of people in it back in those days till they finally learned really how to handle it with adverse yaw. But because we still use them in Vietnam.